And welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Monday, February 28th. I'm your host for today's program, Paul Demain. Many of the stories viewed here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com, and here are some of the news stories for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. Tribes from a northeast Oregon reservation have begun returning to the Yellowstone National Park area to hunt bison for the first time in more than a century. Several hunters from the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Reservation in Pendleton, Oregon, made the trip earlier this month. Jim Marsh of the tribe's Fish and Wildlife Commission says the hunts restore a tradition long lost to the Cayuse, Walla Walla, and Umatilla tribes that comprise the reservation. The state of Montana approved the hunts in November after months of negotiations with two other tribes that already have retained the right to hunt there. The Shoshone-Bannock of Idaho also got approved to hunt there, joining the Nez Perce of Idaho and the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes of northwest Montana. Two people now admit they lied to investigators after someone tried to derail a passenger train traveling through New York's Cattaraugus reservation last summer. U.S. Attorney William Hochul says the 48-year-old James Phillips and 44-year-old Christine Seneca of Irving, New York, pled guilty last week to making a false statement. Authorities say they lied about who'd been at a party held near the scene hours before the train hit a barricade placed on the tracks. So far, no one's been charged with the attempted derailment. An eastbound Amtrak train carrying 354 people was slightly damaged when it hit the barricade early July 5th. Investigators saying a train going the opposite way could have veered off the tracks. Phillips and Seneca face up to 5 years in prison when they are sentenced, upcoming on June 1st. Community College and American Indian Tribe in northern Arizona will benefit from federal funds to expand opportunities for distance learning and broadband access. Jonathan Adelstein oversees the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Rural Development Utilities Program. He will visit Coconino Community College on this Tuesday to present the school with a $300,000 grant for distance learning. From there, he'll join the USDA's state director on the Havasupai Reservation to announce a $2.2 million broadband project. The reservation lies deep in the gorge off the Grand Canyon. The USDA's utilities program invested more than $700 million in rural Arizona communities during the fiscal year 2010. Mark Trahant, a former editor for the Seattle Post-Intelligencer and a member of the Idaho's Shoshone-Bannock tribe, will speak about successful Indian health care models on March 2nd. That's Tuesday, March 2nd, tomorrow, from 7 p.m. until 9:30 p.m. at the University of Idaho's College of Law courtroom. The event will include a talk panel discussion with Dr. Elizabeth Topsky from the Benoit Medical Facilities and most likely Roberta Bisbee from the Nez Perce Medical Facility. The talk will focus on 3 points: that Indian health care is less expensive than the national health care system, which is currently the highest priced medical system in the world; that lessons in health care reform can be taken from the Indian health care system to be used on a national scale; and 3, taking a deeper look into 2 different Indian health care systems around Latah County, Idaho, the Nez Perce and Benoit counties. That speech is titled "Telling a News Story: Excellence in the Indian Healthcare System." A New Mexico state senator contends a proposed 25-year extension on a lease for Four Corners power plant is a poor deal for the Navajo Nation. Senator Lynda Lovejoy, Democrat from Crown Point, wrote a letter to Navajo President Ben Shelley saying the extension will mean a meager annual payment of $7 million for 25 years. The lease awaits Shelley's signature or veto. The Navajo Tribal Council approved it last week. Arizona Public Service Company, the plant's operator, has said it would shutter the aging coal-fired plant if the lease wasn't approved. The plant in northwestern New Mexico has been under increasing scrutiny over its emissions. Wisconsin Republicans have introduced legislation that will repeal a hard-fought 15-year battle in Wisconsin to restrict the use of Indian mascots in the state when local citizens and tribes are offended. Republicans, now in the majority with the tactical support of the Tea Party and billionaire Koch brothers from California have also raised the issue of state tribal compacts, and either the governor or the lower house and senate should have the right to negotiate and confirm the agreements. That was part of the one-sided sale of state assets debate in the assembly last week, raising eyebrows about whether the state tribal compact process might also be on their future agenda. Additionally, the governor ordered the Capitol closed this past weekend, resulting in several hundred law enforcement officers from throughout the state to descend on the Capitol in support of the demonstrators. The Capitol was finally closed off to the public today, February 28th, on a Monday, despite public hearings and public businesses that have continued the last 2 weeks. They've now restricted people from going into the Capitol. Governor Scott Walker has now restricted access to the Capitol during regular business hours, while many protesters remain inside as well. And this last weekend saw the biggest demonstrations to date, with over 100,000 people in and around Capitol Square, including many more Shinabs. March 8th is when the tribes have annually given the State of Nations tribal address to the officers and legislators of the state of Wisconsin, and they are scheduled to do so again this year if the governor lets them into the Capitol. Go to www.indiancountrytv.com to view the latest jab at the governor by Oneida comedian Charlie Hill as well, and enjoy. The Cherokee Nation Center is debuting a 12-foot-tall statue, which the artist says represents the tribe's ability to overcome adversity with pride and integrity. The statue will be unveiled at the Park Hill Center. Has been dubbed Resurgence by artist Daniel Horsechief, who is a Cherokee Nation citizen. The statue depicts a Cherokee stickball player leaping for the goal. The statue will remain on permanent display in the museum's atrium. Heritage Center Executive Director Carrie Tilley says it's a privilege that the museum's newest work has been created by a renowned Cherokee artist. Horsechief says he often visited the museum as a child and is very honored to have a work on display there. And that is the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to thank you for joining with us, and come back again soon. Miigwech.